What's going on, everybody? We're live. I've got David. I've got David in the studio. He was just running a few minutes behind schedule here, but it's going to be a good conversation with David. Tonight is a special episode sponsored by GoBoard Pro, in addition to our regular sponsors. So I don't want to delay it too long. We've already a few minutes overtime, but I just wanted to tell everybody how excited I am to see everybody in Las Vegas next week for TICE, the International Surfaces event. TICE, the International Surfaces event. So if you're going to Las Vegas and you haven't heard by now, Tile Money is having a mixer, a networking event Wednesday the 16th, and all the sponsors you see here, in addition to Latacrete, NTCA, GoBoard, Happy Tile Guy, and GoBoard Pro, and Contractors Direct, Mircrete, Sika, who else? Tech, and we have Schluter and Gunlock will all be there supporting Tile Money and supporting you, so you can have a great time with plenty of food and plenty of drinks, and it's going to be a wild time. So if you're in Las Vegas next week, Wednesday the 16th, and if you've already told me you're coming to my event, you don't have to do anything else. I will, over the weekend, be giving you all the details. The restaurant, the time is 7 p.m., and we can stay in touch via text. I have this text automation. So it's going to be a fun event. I'm really looking forward to it, and I'm looking forward to tonight's episode with David Sandana to talk to him about how he took the GoBoard Pro Invention, which maybe some of you have seen already or certainly heard about, from conception to launch day, and partnerships and all that good stuff along the way. And I know there's several inventors here today joining us. So let's get this started with a little bit of music on the top, and we'll get started with this Tile Money podcast episode. Hello, Tile friends. Welcome back to another episode of the Tile Money Podcast. This is the podcast that is strengthening the tile industry. We are doing this with our weekly business education designed for contractors by contractors. This education is assisting tile contractors around the world to build sustainable, profitable businesses. The result is a stronger industry from the installer up, and that's what it's all about. Tonight we have a great interview lined up for you to enjoy. I'm talking with David Sandana, the inventor of a brand new tile installer tool, the GoBoard Pro. We're going to get to see this tool tonight. We're going to get to talk about how he came up with the idea, the struggles along the way, the wins along the way. And if you have questions for David, you're definitely in the right spot if you're with us tonight, Friday night. Thanks for being with us. I know it's a Friday night, but we're going to have some fun and talk to David here. So before we get to it and invite him into the studio here, I want to thank our sponsors, the National Tile Contractors Association, Latacrete International, and GoBoard. These are the companies that are supporting you via this platform, Tile Money, the podcast, the Facebook group, everything we're doing and building out. These companies are supporting you. GoBoard, Latacrete International, the NTCA, Happy Tile Guy, and they want to see you succeed. That is our mission together as an industry, is to assist the tile contractor succeed. So if you're not familiar with any of those companies, reach out to them, have a conversation, tell them you appreciate supporting the podcast that you listen to weekly, and tell them that it means a lot. And tonight, for this episode, we actually have a fourth sponsor, GoBoard Pro. As I mentioned, we're talking with David Sandana, and he's sponsored this episode to share with us his invention, as well as share some education, really. And that's what it's all about, giving back, because a lot of you want to know, how would I take a tool to from conception to reality? So here we go, right on time. Man, that doesn't happen very often. David.
How's it going?
It's going good. How are you, brother?
Pretty good. You nailed that intro.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, that was good timing there with the music. We've got a lot of people. We've got a lot of people saying hi. We got Anthony Moses, Larry, Abby, a bunch of other people saying hi, and they're excited to hear from you, David. First of all, if anybody's not familiar with who you are, give us a brief overview of your of where you're at and what you do in the industry.
I'm in Pierce County, Washington, in a town called Puyallup. It's about 25 miles south of Seattle and 10 miles east of Tacoma. So those are the two biggest cities in both those counties. I have a flooring company. I've had a company for 15 years. We do tile installations, obviously, but other flooring as well. And so I work every single day with the guys, just like most of you do. Today I did a mud pan for a shower. And so that'll coupled with all the other estimates and measuring and all the bookwork. That's
Nice.
what I do.
I know you stay busy. How long did you say how long you've been in business?
Oh yeah, we started in May of 2005.
Mm-hmm.
So 16 years last month.
Yeah. And if anybody hasn't listened or watched the interview with David, you can do that. I wish I had the date off the top of my head here. I usually do that, but it was a great interview. He discussed his flooring business in more depth, but that's not what we're going to talk about tonight. Tell us what we're going to talk about tonight, David.
Tonight we're talking about Invention and the tool I created, and we're getting ready to launch next week at Tice in cooperation with Gunlack Tiling Tools Gunlack
BJ Gunlock
Tool Company.
Yep. Tool company. So tell us about this tool. First of all, do we have a photo? I'm going to try to remember where that's located here.
I have one in my hand.
What's that?
I have one here.
Do you see where it says share your screen? Do you have, you have the tool. Yeah, let's
in my hand.
You know, I think what we should do is look at the tool, and then I'm going to describe what I'm seeing for the people who are listening to the podcast next week. Why don't you grab the tool?
Okay.
So there it is. It's a beautiful looking red metal ledger board. And tell me about the dog ears there on the end, and then what this is, because essentially what this is a backsplash tool to assist you when you go to install your backsplash in the area where the stove is. Correct?
Correct. So this tool is designed to fit in a standard stove gap. This specific one is the 30. We're going to have more sizes available, and we're starting with the 30. We also have a 48 that's in production, so we'll have that out as soon as they get that ready. But the 30 is designed to sit right in the stove gap. All you have to do to set your ledger board for your tile installation is take this tool and just set it down on the counter space. It'll fit from side to side every single time.
And now, what kind of reactions are you getting when you show this to tile contractors and they start to use this?
Depending on the contractor, some just say, "Where can I buy it?" It's one of those pain points we've been dealing with. I've done for as long as I've been in the industry and working for my previous employer. We always did the whole stud finder, knock on the wall, put a screw, put a nail, hope and pray we didn't hit something important. Try to get it perfect, and it never worked out 100% most of the time. So I don't know how I came up with this, but it's a long story, but I was on a hunting trip with some friends, and I said, "Hey, I got this idea," and they're like, "Well, go ahead and do something about it." And so I just started on the process, and that was last September, and here we are today.
Yeah. And so I kind of want to dig into that. I'm going to do something though. I'm going to share my screen because I found the video I was looking for, and we're just going to take a look at the tool in the field. I think that would be fun.
Okay.
All right, let's do this here. Now, this is a video that Kurt Cook made inside the Global Tile Posse, and we're just going to watch about 30 seconds of it here, I think, and we'll get a better grasp of watching this tool in the field. So I'm not sure if you can hear him well, but he's just showing the tool here. And now he's walking over to where the stove is. He simply just places the LedgerBoard Pro
ready for time.
Where you would normally have to screw in, I don't know, a piece of scrap wood laying around the construction site. Some people use their levels. Some people, just use whatever they can find. You're poking holes in the wall. You're looking for the studs. You're hoping you don't drill into any plumbing or gas or electrical. So it's as simple as that. It's incredible.
Yep, pretty easy. Anybody can use it with very little training. So if you have new employees, all they got to be, if they can set something down, they can use this tool. That's how simple it is.
Yeah, that's incredible. And now you mentioned, you kind of teased it. You said you were hunting, you were on a trip, and you told me, tell us the story when you had this idea, man.
There's probably 3 or 4 versions. So basically I got up one morning and I told my buddies, it's probably 4 o'clock in the morning. We were elk hunting by Mount St. Helens. I told my buddies, I said, hey, I got this idea. And from everything I know about inventions, all I see is like Shark Tank. And they're like, I need 100 grand, I need 10%, and so you're like thinking of all these weird numbers and percentages, and you don't know what you're getting into.
Yeah.
But I thought this could work, and so I talked to him, and one of my good friends, he just said, hey man, just go ahead and go out there and do it. He's like, when you get back from this trip, just do it, call whoever you got to call and figure something out. And so he encouraged me to do it. And, at that point, I was like getting ready to hike up a mountain. So I was like, okay, I'll do it. That's the end of it. I didn't put a whole lot of thought into when I was going to do it. Other than that, as soon as I got home, I was going to do it.
Yeah. That's awesome. We've got one question. I'm just going to try to answer the questions as they come up because of the nature of the subject. Can you make it telescoping instead of various sizes?
Yeah, that was probably the first question we come up with. We asked that same thing. So can we make a telescoping version, or can we make an extendable version, or like a folding version or something like that? And the answer is possibly, but we thought it would cause too much weakness, because when you have the structure, when you have the tool holding up the weight of the tile on the wall, you don't want to have a hinge point. And for what you have to go through to get one of these made, you're making another segment, it would double in price easy. So you would be, if you made a extendable one, if you made it in the USA, like this one's made in the USA, right 10 miles from my house, they'd be over $200 easy.
Yeah.
Just in manufacturing, probably. So to go down that road, it just wasn't something that we wanted to look into for the liability reasons of, it breaking, the hinge weakening, claims. It doesn't quite work because every time you redraft a product, it costs a lot of money to redraft a product. So we had to pretty much get it right, and I think we nailed it with this one.
Yeah. Now I keep seeing this question. It's been brought up 2 or 3 times already. A lot of folks evidently like to run a tile underneath, what you would be allowed to with this tool, correct? So in other words, if the stove is skinny or something, a lot of people like to put one row below where it would be like across the LedgerBoard Pro there. But this tool kind of doesn't allow for that, or?
No, it's totally up to the installer. So you have to be resourceful in everything you're doing. So this tool, you start on the countertops. You set the tile across the top. You finish. You set all your tile along the back row. You probably could take this LedgerBoard off same day if you do the whole backsplash, and then you just put your bottom row in and tape it up.
Yeah.
That backsplash that Kurt put on that video, he said he was able to get that done in the first day, grouted and everything. So yeah. I don't know how much time putting that LedgerBoard in, but there's a gas line in the floor right below that. I don't know if you saw that, and who knows where that's coming from.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you can't.
I think that's, a quick and easy solution. You're still not, pulling your level out, pulling a scrap wood, wood out. If you remember to carry one or go dig around for one, it makes a lot of sense for me. And honestly, that it's not every backsplash. It's actually, in my experience, it's the rare ones that you would be going down that extra row. And for me personally.
Yeah, if they don't have a downdraft or anything on the oven, or there's no back with a clock or whatever, then occasionally up here in the Pacific Northwest, I've never even heard of that until Global Tile Posse, people posting pictures, and we kind of think like, well, why would anybody do that? But they just do, and it's one of those extra things. It's kind of like if you went next to a refrigerator and you continued to tile behind the refrigerator. Some customers request it. I think that's kind of silly because the countertop stopped there, but to each his own, I guess. But if you want to drop the row, you just lift the tool out, you put the tile up, and then you just put a piece of tape on there to hold it with the spacers, and you're good to go.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we're getting some interest all the way over from Australia here tonight, David. So it looks like you might want to.
Yeah, Australia. Yeah, we had a little interest in Australia ourselves. So it was a friend of mine just moved over there to Sydney. One of my neighbors, she's like, "Yeah, you should bring it down there." I was like, "Oh well." She had trouble getting over there because of COVID and all that stuff, so I decided to hold off.
All right, so we'll go back to, the morning you woke up and you had this great idea, and what was the next steps then? Your buddies just told you to, by the way, your friends are good friends, just go for it, right? Just go do it, just go make it happen. And they were encouraging you. They weren't the naysayer type. So you're obviously hanging around the right type of people, right? So congratulations on that. What was the next step? I mean, did you make it out of wood? What's going on there? 3D printer?
No, next step, looking back, I went straight to a friend of mine. He's an aerospace engineer, and started talking with him about it, and we just drafted something up. Once we had a design, we were able to we could go with any metal, we could go with any shape over distance. We could tell how much flex the metal would have. We could tell how heavy it was going to be, and they pretty much dialed it in on the computer. Once we had a computer model, then we could make something and see if it worked, because there's no way of telling, like, we could draft it, but will it work,
Yeah.
And the first model, it worked, but it was super heavy. So we had to trim it down a bit, and we ended up with this model here. And it's a little more than half the weight of our first version. But that was the next step, was to make sure that it worked. Once I had a working model, I called a patent attorney right away and said, I got this idea. And they had a million questions just to get through them. And then let me back up 1 second here, because I'm forgetting the super important part. And this is probably the most crucial part of the. Can you hear me?
I can hear you great. Yeah. Are you good?
I think my headphones just turned off. So you're on the line.
We've got a great
Okay.
We've got a great comment from the YouTube. Mr. Man, I'm not going to try that name. Many great ideas are lost to apathy. Good for you for pushing on and doing it. Doing nothing is the easy way, and that's so true. And then that was Roberto Colinetti from Australia. Just so you know, David, who wants to talk to you about that product. So
okay, awesome. So what I'm forgetting here is I made a phone call. I called Chase Twitchell because I knew he had invented his flow effects drain. He just came out with it, I don't know, several months prior to that. And so I thought I'd pick his brain on the process. So I talked to him, and he like directed me. He's like, well, there's the provisional, there's the non-provisional, there's all this stuff, and you're like racking your brain trying to figure out what's the next step. And then he pretty much narrowed my focus in. And then I got directly in contact with the patent attorneys to do the patent search, and then go through all that paperwork and submissions and photos and documents. And that was pretty much it. After I talked to Chase, he got me focused in, and he was great. I mean, we formed a pretty good friendship over this deal. He really enjoys this process of the creation. And so the whole time I kept him in the dark about it, what it was. He wanted to know. And I kept him in the dark. I was like, well, I gotta wait. He's like, all right, I don't blame you. And
that had to be hard.
Yeah, it was hard to keep. I wanted to tell anybody just as bad as, and I told him, I was like, man, it's one of those things that just, I don't know why it took so long for me to think about it. Like it never came to me.
Yeah.
And so Chase, after all these months, I called him. I said, hey, they came back with the patent search. They said there's nothing like it. I was like, okay, cool. He's like, so what are you going to do? I was like, they said patent it right away. So I went ahead and filed the paperwork. So we did that. And then I was like, it's going to be 2 weeks. It's going to be 2 more weeks. And finally I was like, they said 6 more weeks. And he's like, dude, you're killing me. And so finally it came back, and I told him, I was like, okay, I got the paperwork back. He goes, now you're freaking telling me what it is. And I was like, all right, fine. I told him. He goes, are you kidding me? He's that's freaking genius. I was like, dang. Yeah, it's one of those funny things. So
Yeah,
that was the next step.
yeah, that was pretty wild. You were I don't know at what timeline you started talking to me, because we had done the podcast and we were keeping in touch, talking about different projects, and you have family here close to where I am in Florida, so it was fun talking to you, because I remember that was like, man, I'm gonna tell you what it is in like 2 weeks, and it was like 2 weeks for like 12 weeks in a row, you know.
Yeah, they stretch it out.
So, so after all that, I mean, what was the next step? Then you have the patent, and you already have somebody who can make the tool, and then are you refining, you know, what the tool looks like, or what's the next step at that point?
We did it a couple times along the way. After we had to submit a pretty much a final draft to they call it prior work, so our prior art. So we had to submit a photo of our piece to the patent office, and from every single angle. And when we got the report back, it's like 28 pages, and it's all high detail stuff. There's no way you could look at a patent and go, I'm going to get around this thing, because you don't even know what they're talking about when they fill it out. And so I got that back, and then we redesigned it a little bit just to trim the weight because of shipping costs and that. You know, I was surprised at how much information you needed to have to get a product into a market. But my next step, once I had it, the information in hand, was to present it to somebody. You know, so we presented it to a company, our first model, and it was a Zoom like this. You know, it was a Zoom on a job site. I showed them how it worked, and it all fell together. You know, and so Gunlac Tool Companies bringing the tool out. They're going to be the distributor in North America and Canada, and you know, I said it before. I was like, yeah, it's going to be out pretty quick. You know, and it took forever, it seems like, but it was a really short time, and everything worked pretty smooth. And I think everybody's happy to this point. We got a nice product, and I think it's great.
What is the total timeline? Has it been a year, 18 months, or less? Or?
Oh no, from the middle of September, you know, we're talking about, I don't know, 9 months probably.
Man, that's
yeah, 9 months, and probably total time. Because we started. I first approached Gunlac after I was in Vero Beach, when I met you in Vero Beach. So in Vero Beach, I hadn't told anybody about it yet, because I was still waiting for my application to come back. But in Vero Beach, our CTI administrator was John Roberts. So after that, he works for Ben O.J. Gunlac, and so I kind of met everybody and all the pieces in this trip that I was kind of squeamish on taking anyway, because I told you that. But I met John down there, and when I passed the CTI, you know, I got back in contact with him and just told him I had this tool coming out. Like, I just got the patent information back, and it'd probably be like 2 weeks. And who could I talk to about, you know, getting it to market? And he said, oh, that's my boss, and sent me his contact information, and you know, we started talking, and it went from there.
Yeah. Well, you definitely went to the right company. I mean, Gunlock Tools is the oldest tool distributor in America, North America. So they've been doing it. They've been at it a long time. And what was that like? I mean, was that hard? Was that a tough process? You know, and then the follow up, I would like to know what's been the toughest process so far. But what was it like, you know, approaching a company and kind of, because obviously they bring a lot of value to what you know, the success of the tool, right?
Yeah. They're well, we're still moving forward, so we'll see how everything goes down the road, you know. But I think the company is great to work with. I dealt directly with Steve Gunlac and Mike Wise, and they're just like you and I talking now. I mean, there was no. You think of the boardroom with the smoke in the air and the low green lights and people counting, you know, on abacuses and stuff, and it's nothing like that. I mean, they're just like you and I think. And
Sure.
I haven't met them in person, but dealing with them has been great. It was pretty straightforward. They said, hey, here's the things you need to consider. As far as I know, I was pretty easy to work with because I just take what they say because they're industry professionals in that aspect, and so I have to take their advice into consideration. And we put everything together, and it all worked out, and it's been pretty smooth sailing. It's pretty cool.
We've got another question on this topic. Did you approach multiple companies, and did you need a non-disclosure agreement?
Yeah, there's non-disclosure agreements. Gunlac was the first company I went forward with, and the hard part about it is just waiting on correspondence initially, because you don't know if they like it or not. I mean, initially when we had the first Zoom, they're like, oh yeah, it looks great, everything, but everything has to be right too. Just besides the tool, it can't be a $10,000 tool. It can be too high a price. There's other things that they consider and the market bears, and so there's a lot of education. And Mike Wise is probably one of the best at knowing what to do there.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. It sounds like a great partner, and so I would just encourage you out there, inventors or future inventors, to take the lesson learned here, and don't be afraid to call someone up that a rep, and say, who's your boss? I have an idea. I'd like to run by them. These people are eager to talk to inventors and eager to hear what you have to say. We've got another question here. Awesome idea. Do you have any plans to have like a line of similar products? And this individual wants to buy one right away. If you
yeah, it's funny you asked that. There's more products. Yeah,
cool.
And
cool.
They're in production here. We're launching our first one. I'm not trying to get ahead of my skis, so to say, but we'll get this first one out. GoBoard Pro is going to be making more products. We have some more complicated mechanical things I'm thinking of. 3D modeling probably after I get back from Vegas. So there's more things that are going to be useful to others in the future. Because I've been in the field and done pretty much everything that you people are doing. Like all these tilers are installing tile. I've done that for a long time, so I understand what they're going through, and I've been through the struggles, and I like to think all these things I do for myself, but in the end, it helps out other people as well.
Now, is this your first invention, David, that you brought to market like this?
Yeah, first one.
Okay.
Yeah. Last time I haven't made any tools. I've made fancy little scribe things out of pencils and sticks and stuff on a job site just to get a cut angle or something.
Sure.
But other than that, nothing.
Yeah. Well, what's been the hardest part? That's kind of something I've been curious about, is what kind of surprised you that was like, man, I did not see that coming. We talked a little bit about, how hard it was just to keep quiet, right? Was that the hardest thing, or was there other obstacles?
You learn to keep quiet. It's hard to know something's coming and not say anything about it, especially when you're excited. That was difficult, but not the hardest part. The hardest part about the whole thing was probably just being patient in general. Everything is a hurry up and wait game. So you start and you have an idea, and next thing you know, you have to make sure it works. You're not gonna go to a patent attorney and say, hey, let's do a search on something that I don't know is going to work, because that's several $1,000s, and they're going to search, and they ask you a lot of questions. There's a process just to get in front of a patent attorney. So you can't just file a patent on your own. It has to go to the USPTO through an attorney's office who's a licensed patent attorney. And the firms, they have like a 3-step interview process, at least the one I went to make sure that's something that they want to take on, or even if it's patentable. So there's criteria in the whole process that would make something patentable or not. I can't recite to you what that criteria is now, but it was important when they were asking the questions. So that was the first nervous part. That was difficult. But then they're like, oh yeah, it's going to be 4 weeks. We'll have the search results back. and then it's 8 weeks. So you're like, what am I doing here? I paid all this money. What are we doing? And then you get the search results back, and you're like, man, that's a high detail, a lot of information they put in there just to get a search done. And so it's pretty crazy the amount of stuff they search through. Then there's the wait time after that. If you decide to go through with a patent application, what they call a provisional. So you do the provisional patent application. That takes 6 weeks. Then it's 10 weeks, so then you're like, you think, okay, you're looking at your calendar. You're like, oh, I got 2 more days till 6 weeks and it should be here. And they're emailing you. They're like, it'll be Thursday. Then they're like, oh, sorry, we're heavily, we're inundated in the office, or we have so many applications coming back, or whatever they're doing. It'll be next Tuesday and then Friday. But the bottom line is, when they get the information back, like, I don't know how they wrote 28 pages, but it's a high detail. I mean, I never wrote a story that long in my life, and it's only about this one tool, no gearing, no motors. So
imagine if it was telescoping, it'd be 128 pages.
Yeah. And this has a simple patent. They call it a simple patent because it's not very complicated. If you get something complicated, it could be $40,000 just to make the patent. Yeah. So it goes up from there. So something that's pretty basic, not very expensive to get patent, still a lot of money. Mm-hmm. So if you're looking at like a patent, you could be $10,000 for a simple patent, and sky's the limit from there. If you have like something that's a gearing and all this other stuff, then it could cost a lot of money. Mm.
Let's see. We got one question, but I think we answered all these, so he will go back. As far as getting it out there, David told us how he is basically partnering with gun lock tool distributors, and that's who's going to basically be distributing it to a lot of the stores throughout North America and eventually beyond. Marketing, other marketing plans. We haven't really talked about this. This is part of the marketing right tonight.
Sure. What's the next step? What was that question?
I think we talked about most of it. What are your next steps? Marketing.
Okay. So next step, Tuesday we go to Las Vegas. Ben O.J. Gunlack is distributing the tool. They're going to have it on display in Las Vegas. They're going to be running a promotion on the tool from Vegas, and then they're going to distribute it to their vendors throughout the country and then to Canada. So that's the goal. As far as marketing goes, we're just going to continue to market the product like any other one would. Ben O.J. Gunlack's going to take the lead on that. They're the exclusive sales team for North America. So, they're doing a good job. We just got material back that they've sent out to their reps. And so we'll go from there. But, you'll be able to get it in your store, your local store. You can order it online. There'll be online vendors, probably a couple, 4 or 5 different major online websites you can get it from. Mm-hmm. We'll have a website up with links and all that stuff to dealer locator, so you can find out where you can buy it. And you can contact Mike Wise at Ben O.J. Gunlack, and he can hook you up with the rep that can get you the product that you need wherever you may be, because they're covered the country.
How soon can people expect these to be available wherever they would buy their gun lock tools, Monolith, etc.? Mm-hmm. Do you think it's like 2 weeks away, or?
Yeah, so I was down at our manufacturing plant last week, and they were almost done cutting them. So from there, it's only about 2 weeks. So we're going to try to get them out the door July 1.
Okay.
Yep.
So you should see them in your local areas. If you're used to seeing Monolith tools, anything that Gunlock, distributes to your local tile stores, or, like David said, some of the big online retailers, online tile tool stores will definitely be having this here. It's the name of the tool is LedgerBoard Pro. So look forward to seeing that available very soon, within weeks, really. So
yeah, it'll be out pretty quick. We're going to try to get out the first week of July for sure. And then it's just a matter of shipping and receiving at that point. I know they're going to be taking orders next week, so we're looking forward to getting started.
Now, you showed me a red tool. Are there any other colors?
We decided to go with the red one because it matches the gunlac colors red.
Uh-huh.
And their other tool lines, they're the similar color.
Mm-hmm.
Now about this red here, this tool, it is 6061 T6 aerospace aluminum. So it's a high quality aluminum. This is a hard plated anodized finish. So there's different layers or different qualities of anodization. This is a hard anodized. They use this for like hydraulic pistons and industrial parts. So you could take your Brillo pad or sponge and rub this thing till your arm fell off, and the finish should stay right burned into that aluminum. Then the lettering is actually laser engraved. So the top is smooth because the laser engravement, it just removes the color, not the protection. So there's no transition in the finish here. It's all smooth. So you can get mortar on it, get grout on it, you wipe it off with a sponge, use a Brillo pad, it should be fine.
That sounds really nice. Nothing to catch, no, it does sound like a baseball bat in my ears when you're rubbing against that. Is that how it feels?
Like a bat. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Now, that's great. It's a beautiful red. Good job, David. Let's see here. If anybody has any more questions for David about the tool or about the process, please put them up now. Have we missed anything, David? Is there anything else you want to tell us about the tool or about the process?
I could probably talk all day about the tool, using it, how to use it, how you would adjust it. If you had your, basically how you can adjust the tool, it's flat, but if your countertops are off a little bit, it's designed on the end to where you can use a horseshoe shim to lift that edge off the countertop. So it elevate your ledge there. I'm going the wrong way here. It's like be working in a mirror. So it elevates that edge right here. If you put a horseshoe shim under that side to give you some space off the countertop. And also if your counters aren't level, you can shim each side independently to get that level back. So you'd have to determine what your best layout would be. When you set this on the countertop, if it's not level, you could shim the left side by a 16th and the right side by a 32nd to find that perfect level if you needed to. Also, if you needed to drop a tile down, you just set your backsplash like normal, remove the ledger board with one hand in 1 second, no tools required, and then you'll put your pieces of tile up with tape. If you're a single installer working by yourself, you don't have to move the stove out all the way to get your tile backsplash put in. You just have to move it out 2 inches. And then you could set this right on the countertop behind it and set your tile shade across the back by protecting the stove. Nice. So that's another cool thing about that.
Yeah.
There's all sorts of stuff we're discovering because we're new to it, just like everyone's going to be new to it. And the process has been really neat. The tool works flawlessly. It's almost too easy because I had a job the guys refused to do because they didn't have one with them. So I had to run them a tool so they would do the job because they were like, it takes too long to do the other thing, and they were down the road. So I brought them a tool, they went and did the job, and it kind of spoils you once you use it.
I imagine, one thing I keep thinking of is, when I would do a lot of remodel backsplashes or backsplashes where, the home is lived in, right? Not new construction. The stove's there. It's plugged in. The gas, if it's a gas stove, it's plugged into the gas. Now I'm having to pull it out, possibly damage, if there's a vinyl floor, that's a mess. If there's an old tile floor that was installed hollow, that's, it's a risk. There's a risk factor when you're pulling it out. You got to mess with the gas. You got to take the gas off and put the gas on. It adds time. And then, just to get there to nail in or screw in a ledger board. So, this is going to be one of those things where it's like, move it out 6 inches, put the ledger board pro in, tile the thing, and you're done. You don't have to take the stove out at all, really.
Yeah, and you don't have to jockey around the island. A lot of times if you pull it out most of the way, the oven, there's an island in the way. You got to shimmy around the kitchen. There's a fridge. And at the end of the day, that's going to save you a bunch of time there just by moving it out and remove all liability.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really a no-brainer. Once you put it down on the countertop and you use it the first time, you're just going to be blown away.
Yeah, Yeah, it's one of those tools, like you said at the beginning. Man, why didn't I think of this? It's so simple, right?
It seems simple, and we talked about that. Steve Gunlack, he said, well, how long have you been doing this trade? We talked about it. We talked about how many hours per day you generally work, and who knows what that actually is. But we come up with 40,000 hours I've been doing this and never thought of it,
Yeah.
and it's like, he goes, well, think of all the people that did the trade before you, and it's just gone over the top, and it's just people settled for the same old, and just got stuck in the ways. And I have a builder guy that I know, and I showed him the tool after we got the final version in his company, and he was shocked. His guy is a third generation tile installer, and I had it in a tube, and I asked him how he did his backsplash, and he goes, oh, I'll take a piece of wood and I'll screw it in here and try to get the studs and stuff. And I said, all right. And I handed him the tool. I said, take this. And he pulls it out of the tube. And I said, set it on that countertop. And he sets it down. And you should see how fast he just bent his head down. He's like, oh man, that's awesome. And it was like just the light turned on right away. And he's like, that is so cool.
Yeah.
So it really saves a bunch of time for them, because they're building 100 houses a year, so, multiply that out. And then he said he has about every 20 houses, someone hits a pipe in the wall. Mm-hmm. And he said it costs $4,000 to $5,000. And generally I have to pay the cost, because the people that are doing the work, they don't have that money to just get back to me. And I have to get the house closed because I got purchasers and all this other stuff.
So this builder said every 4 or 5 houses, he has an issue where he has to open the wall and fix some plumbing.
No, about every 20 houses, one out of 20. Yeah, 1 out of 20. And then he said that it usually costs $4,000 to $5,000 to fix.
Wow.
Because it'll flood the wood, it'll flood all the flooring. They got to peel it back, and it's
a hassle. What a mess. So builders are going to love this. I mean, that 4 to 5, I was going to say, who's this builder? Who's his sub, right?
No, that's called bad luck. That's like you're in the wrong trade.
It's time to retire.
Yeah, right.
No, but every 20 houses, I mean, even that though, if you're doing, a couple hundred houses a year, I mean, that's a big deal. We had a question up here I missed. I want to get back to it. Now, did you have some sort of investors for the licensing, all the money that you've invested, or are you self-funded, David?
No, I self-funded the deal. I self-funded everything's self-funded. There's no partner besides myself in the and my wife in the ledger board production side and patent side. I keep seeing the questions pop up, so I'm trying to read at the same time. But yeah, we don't have any funding aside for what we have, and we're able to take care of things pretty much on our own. If we had to take care of all the manufacturing, which we have up to this point. I think we have a pretty good supply, and we'll be able to keep supply. And I hope everybody likes the tool. I know if you ever use it, you're going to run right to the store. If you use somebody else's, you're going to go right to the store and get it right away because it's so great. But we're able to do it all on our own. And it was surprising how much it costed at first on the low end, and then it went how high on the other end. So you're like, wow, this isn't so bad. Then you're sitting here scratching, you're like, is this a good idea? What am I doing here? No, but it turned out good, man.
And the question was wrong, or I read it wrong. He wanted to know with the negotiation aspect, I guess with the partnership maybe type stuff. Let me see if I can read that question again. With the licensing, so I mean, it was basically pretty much, you talked to a couple distributors, right?
As far as deals go, the main thing you have to understand is it has to make sense for everybody. Mm. That's the main thing they tried to convey to me, and it was pretty well accepted. If you have a store like Dow Tile or Tile Shop or TNA or any store that's around you, Tom Duffy, they have a percentage they have to operate on. So there has to be that side, or they just won't buy the product, right? Then the distributor, it has to make sense for them because they have costs that they bear, and then they have a percentage that they have to make that it has to operate on. So everything that you see is a direct reflection of what does everybody have to make on the tool. Like if you can make a tool for $1 and sell it for $100, and then sell it to a distributor for $100, and then they would sell it to a retailer, and retailer sells it. It's probably not such a good tool for you to be purchasing if it costs $1 to make. So the cost of tools reflects in the cost of manufacturing, in the cost of distribution, in the cost of the store and retailing, and they have to make a profit. So as far as the deal goes, it's simple math.
Mm.
Yep. Yeah. There's, down the road, there's agreements in place and stuff like that, but everybody's different. It just depends on what you're into, but I wouldn't get too far into, having negotiators. We didn't have the boardroom with the smoke and all that stuff. No, it was pretty laid back. There's a formula that works for supply chains, and we're able to meet that formula, and so we're happy.
Right on. Now we have the most important question of the night. Are you ready for it? Where's the swag?
The swag, yeah. I think Gunlack's taking care of that. No. Hey, one thing at a time. You have to get everything right?
Yeah.
It's been, I have, besides doing the tool, I have a business that I do full time. I have a family that is all my other time, and then we've been doing some fishing, trying to relax a little bit since we've been working so much with the kids, and swag is cool, but we'd like to sell one or two of these tools first. So if you want swag, we got to get some of our money back because we're running low here. No, we'll get swag.
Yeah, I'm sure it's coming. The branding is on point. I really like. Let's see here. I really like this LedgerBoard Pro. That looks pretty slick. I like that.
Yeah, the LedgerBoard Pro. That's a good one.
Well, anybody who's going to Vegas next week will get to hold this in their hands by visiting the Gunlock booth. David will be there. I'll be there at the show, walking around, and then I have my after networking party. So I hope to see you there if you're going to be in Vegas, Tile Friends. If not, it'll be a few weeks before you can order this online or get it in a local shop and get it in your hands. So this has been have a bottle opener. Oh, there you go. That's a good idea. Have a bottle opener that looks like a small LedgerBoard Pro for the swag.
I can do it right here on the end there. I'll figure it out for you. That's my next move.
Right on. Well, we've got a lot of excitement in the live crowd here tonight, and so Sal's gonna be in Vegas. Sal, oh, that's good to know, man. I didn't know. I hadn't heard that until just now. So Sal is gonna be in Vegas, and he's gonna buy us a couple shots. So that's good. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's overdue.
Yeah, Argo Tile and Stone.
Yeah.
Right on.
What up, bro?
Free tools in Vegas from Luke. Yeah. Oh, keychains. Keychains is what I'm bringing for swag.
Yeah.
They can fit in my pocket. Well, David, listen, I really appreciate your time and sharing your knowledge, sharing kind of the journey with us here. And we're all excited for you, man. I'm really excited for you. I'm excited to get one of these tools in my hands and feel it and have a good look at it.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I'm looking forward to getting some out there and getting some more feedback, but so far it's been 100% positive. It works perfect every time, and it couldn't be any better.
Yeah. Right on, David. Well, have a enjoyable evening and a good weekend, and we'll see you in a few days in Las Vegas. Yeah, show us that tool again. And anybody listening to the podcast, you probably want to check out the YouTube video to get your eyes on this tool. This is one that's good to check out on YouTube. You can also go on Instagram too, LedgerBoard Pro, and Ben O.J. Gunlack. At LedgerBoard Pro, or find the Gunlock Instagram. Right on. That's correct. Good deal. All right, David. Well, enjoy your evening out there. Thanks for sharing again. Hey, thanks a lot, Luke. Have a good night. My pleasure. All right, Tile Friends. Well, that was really cool. I really enjoyed talking to David. He's got a lot of passion for his tool, obviously, and he's a very knowledgeable guy. I mean, if you friends haven't heard his interview a few months ago about his flooring installation company, you definitely want to go back and listen to that. He shared a lot of knowledge. He has employees. He has multiple flooring aspects to his business, including, removal, disposal, and he just recently added on epoxy coatings with the help of Latacrete, Latacrete. My mind's going blank here. It's late where I'm at, but their epoxy coating division there. That's what happens when you decide when you don't have notes to go by. So everybody's excited. Good to see y'all. Thanks for being with us live for this show and joining me and asking questions. Don't forget, friends, one of the most important things that I noticed right away was David was hanging around really good people who encouraged him to chase this dream. They didn't tell him, nah, that's a pipe dream, just stick it in your pipe and smoke it and forget about it. They didn't tell him that. They said, go chase your dream, and they helped him along the way. So choose your friends wisely, friends, because it matters in your life. If you want to build something great, want to build upon your business or a new business, you can do it with the help of good friends and some hard work and persistence. It can be done. So as always, I'm signing off, and don't forget to stay profitable, tile friends. We'll talk to you next week. Have a good evening and a good week.